Check it out, friends. Today I'm going to give you a first-hand look at the brand new Milwaukee M18 FUEL 16 gauge straight finish nailer. So this isn't available yet, but next month you can get it online or in the stores. So let's take a close look so you can see that this is right for you. So I'm really excited about this video right here. I recommend that you watch it all the way through, not only because of this nailer right here, but because I was able to go to the Milwaukee Pipeline event and interview the product manager and ask him a lot of questions between this nailer, the 16 gauge straight, and then also talking about the angled nailers like the 15 gauge right here. So you can find out a little bit more and get some better insight, so that way you know which one's right for you. So let's go to that interview real quick, and then after that I will go through and demonstrate this and give you the specs.
That's the new 16 gauge straight.
Is that a second generation?
Yep, so that's the second generation. So we've already launched the second generation of the 16 angled, 15 angled, and the 18 gauge brad. And this is our second generation of the 16 gauge straight.
What's the advantage of a straight over the angled?
Other than user preference, being able to give them something that's cordless if they prefer 16 gauge straight nails. The other thing that we do here a lot is generally 16 gauge straight nails. The nails themselves tend to be less expensive, quite a bit less expensive than angled nails. So you'll hear some of that from users in terms of their preference, but generally speaking, it really comes down to the individual's preference. The way I always kind of frame it is, if you're talking to someone who's used a 15 gauge angled finish nailer for 30 years as a finish carpenter, getting them to move to a 16 gauge straight, they've had that opportunity their whole career. There's usually a very strong reason as to why they use what they use, and they're looking for a cordless version of that tool. And there's plenty of people who do use 16 gauge straights. There's parts of the country where 16 gauge straight's a little bit more predominant. You'll see it a lot more in the southeastern and southern parts of the US, but you really see it all over the place. Really comes down to that individual person or company's preference.
What would be the reason someone would go from a 15 gauge to a 16 gauge nailer?
Honest answer,
Is it preference?
it's almost always preference, whether it's what they kind of learn the trades using and what they prefer. At times you'll hear feedback based on availability of nails in their area, whatever distributor they buy from, the pricing of those nails. Sometimes the preference is based on, hey, the 15 gauge is going to give me a little bit more holding power, and if I'm using that large of a fastener, the slightly larger hole subjectively compared to a 16 gauge, either way I have to fill them and sand them to paint and stain. But generally it comes down to that individual's preference. So that's one of the reasons that we have a 15 gauge, 16 angled, the new 16 gauge straight that we're launching now, and our brad nailer, is to make sure that we have something to fit everybody's preference.
So the 15 gauge angled is what I started out on. Power's on, let's just listen to it. I think it's very similar to the 16 gauge here. What do you think? It sounds exactly the same to me. So you're just going to get more holding power with the 15 gauge than the 16 gauge. Yeah, the only thing is you can just see, you get a little bit tighter angle there, but you might be able to twist it to the side to get in there. So just some things to consider. So to demonstrate this, I have a piece of L trim right there that I put on a 2x4, and the 2-inch nails are a little bit long, so you can just see they're sticking out. So I'm gonna shim the 2x up with this right here. So that way we can just go right along. So right here is a single fire. So each time you push it down and pull the trigger, it fires. But if I'm holding the trigger down and push, it won't fire. So every single time, this is for the more careful, meticulous work. Push down, pull the trigger. And now we switch it over to the bump mode. You have to hold it down a minute. And now if you pull the trigger and you push it down, it's going to give you that fast bump mode action. All right, so each strip of nails here has 50 in it. So let's put that in there and just see how it does on bump mode. Ready? All right, so it does have that dry fire lockout. So I'll just show you. There's, let's see, 1, 2, I would say there's probably close to 10 in there. So this did a really good job. I did get off track a little bit. There's one slightly up a little proud. The rest, that one right there is up a little proud, but I think what I was doing, I wasn't holding it nice and straight, I was actually angling it. So if I hold this consistent, that's how I think you're gonna get consistent results. But if I need to change it, right here is a tool-free depth adjustment. So to drive the nail in a little further down, just do a couple clicks like that. So there, it's very consistent, just countersinking them just the way I like. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. All right, let's take a close look at the specs on the box. So this is model 3020-20, and this is a tool only. So the battery and charger is not included. Wow, this is impressive. It has a 5-year warranty. Really liking that. Look at the features. It has consistent clean nail holes. So whether you're driving the nails in hardwood or softwood, it's going to give you consistent results. It's a compact size, so you have a nice clear line of sight for accurate nail placement. And as you notice, there's 0 ramp up time. So it'll fire in 0.05 seconds. So with this being a Milwaukee FUEL tool, it includes the Power State brushless motor, the RedLink Plus Intelligence, and the Red Lithium battery pack. So let's get a closer look now at the specs. The nail sizes range between 1 inch and 2.5. It's the longest. Has a magazine capacity of 110. The loading is the bottom load, and the firing mode is sequential and contact actuation. The maximum fire rate is 3 nails per second. The length of the tool, 12.9 inches. The height is 11.7, and the width, 5 inches. And the weight of the tool only, 6.2 pounds. All right, so here's a few more features I want to point out. It has the belt clip right there. So if you look at the grip, I'm just really happy with that. It fits my hand really well. It's balanced nice, so I can definitely go where I need to with it. So here's a feature that I really like. It probably doesn't really get pointed out that much, but let's say I'm working in somebody's house in the kitchen and I need to set this down and there's a countertop nearby. It has these rubber bumpers right here between those three and these points. So you can see it's going to lay down real nice and not scratch things. You don't want to put it this way because you have that belt clip which could end up scratching. Let's say you set it down, you pull it across, you're better off just leaving it on the side with the bumpers. So that's just a nice little feature that I like. And then right down here we have some storage for some spare tips, just some different designs. See that one right there. That looks like a direct replacement. And then you can see right here we have a little bit of a different style, a little bit wider. So you have the options between those two, and that's just user preference. For the most part, I just run with this one right here. I like the one that it comes with. It's just nice and easy to just see where you're going with it. So right now that's not pushing down because it's in the dry fire lockout mode. And you might have noticed right in the beginning I showed you this right here. So if you pull the trigger, see right there you have an LED that lights up. So that's nice when you're at those job sites with low lighting. So one of my favorite batteries to use in tools like this is the high output 3 amp hour battery. But if you use the CP 2.0, you'll get 700 nails per charge. And I'm just noticing if you want to change the belt clip to that side, you can do that as well too, whether you're right or left-handed. So if this happens to jam on you, this is what you do. Take the battery out and you can do it tool free. So I recommend taking the sleeves out right there, and then you open this up, and then you can get access to your nails right there. All right, so if you're interested in seeing me do a small build project with this nailer, let me show you something that I built for my son Sawyer, who he just moved off to college last weekend. So it's a dorm bed rail tray build project. And here's a picture in the Upper Peninsula, very nice up there, so scenic. This is his room. He's going to be sharing it with 2 people. He has the bunk right there to the left. And as you can see, right over here, that's His head's going to be on that end near the window, and he could use the tray right there to put his phone, a small fan, some other things. So that's what we're building. All right, so here's what we have going on. These are the two sides. This is the back, and this is some plywood. I put some varnish primer on it. I guess that's what you call it. It's like a pre-stain. It's a little dusty, but okay, we're going to go ahead and glue it up. And then we're going to use the 16 gauge nailer. We'll have wood glue on here. And just like that, we have a dorm room little tray, I guess you call it. All right, Oakley, what do you think about that? So if you're looking for a heavy duty nailer that's going to get the job done, this right here is going to be a good option for you. If you're interested in seeing some other tools that I covered at the Milwaukee 2023 Pipeline event, check out the short playlist right over here that I made for you. And then if you want to see some new videos that I have coming up soon, be sure to get subscribed so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching, friends. See you next time.